I'm Mikaela, and this is Love Mikaela, a podcast where I talk about literally anything and everything I want to. Today, if you could tell from the title, I am going to be talking about acting and how that's changed my life. Again, I think I've mentioned it a little bit in a previous, old podcast, like the first season. I want to talk about some things that I have benefited and gained from just becoming an actor and being an actor. For today, I just want to kind of focus on those positive things that I've kind of gained from that. I think it's one of the best things I've ever decided to do, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And so I just kind of want to talk about that. I became an actor because I truly believe it was what I was meant to do in life. I love performing. I love being in the spotlight. I love telling stories. Obviously, all of that, obviously that's what's led me to do some of these. It's what's led me to make this channel and make a podcast. And I love connecting with others, and I love just feeling things. I feel things very, very deeply. And I think becoming an actor is kind of one of the best decisions I've literally ever made. It's not for everyone. I'm gonna just preface by saying that. It just definitely isn't for everyone. It's hard. It's really, really, really hard. It's a very difficult career to pursue. But if it's the one thing that you think you're meant to be doing, then it kind of makes it all worth it. And the moments when you do get to just act and do what it is that you want to do and what you feel you're meant to do really makes up for all of the hard times that kind of come with it. Some of the obvious things that I've gained from being an actor, I say obvious as in things that you're oh, well, duh, that's something that you earned and learned by being an actor. I am able to speak in public. Which you're well, yeah, everyone can speak in public, but public speaking is known to be one of the biggest fears among the general public. Some people fear public speaking more than they fear death, and it's something that I can do pretty easily. Do I still get nervous? Of course. Do I still get shaky hands? Yeah, but it's not something that I would be I would find impossible to be able to do. I'd be okay, give me a minute to prepare and then I can do it, right? Not everyone can do that, and obviously being an actor has helped me gain that skill, and it also just allows me to be able to speak for myself a lot more than I had been in the past. I don't just mean speaking up for yourself. I also just mean generally speaking in public. I'm definitely someone who still has some social anxiety, but not to the extent that I used to. It's a lot easier for me to now go out and do things on my own because I have that confidence in myself, which just in general, boosting my confidence. Acting has boosted my confidence a ton. It's definitely a career where you're scrutinized and you're under harsh scrutiny and public opinion and public eye very much, especially the more, well, success is measured in different ways. The more seen and known you become as an actor, the harsher that pressure can become. But it's definitely boosted my confidence in ways that I don't think I would ever have if I didn't pursue acting. When you find the thing that you think that you're truly meant for and that you feel that you're truly meant for, and other people can see that, it can change the way that you view yourself in a very positive way and makes you feel almost more capable. I think just finding yourself and kind of discovering who you truly are and what you connect with and what you believe is important can make you a more powerful human and a more connected and a more well-rounded human. And so finding acting has kind of done a lot of that for me. I found my passion in life. Growing up, I didn't really have a thing that I was passionate about. I mean, during a certain age range, when I was little, if you've heard me talk about this before, you'll know, and maybe I've mentioned it in previous podcasts or videos, that when I was little, I wanted to be a rock star after watching Josie and the Pussycats, the movie. And I wanted to be a rock star. I thought I wanted to be a singer for a while. That didn't ever really pan out. I didn't like learning lessons and how to do things with singing. I like didn't want to learn the techniques really. I just kind of wanted to do it for fun, is what I later realized. It's more of a hobby than something that I wanted to pursue as like a career and like learn a lot about. Um, so then for a long time, especially because growing up, I was one of those kids who was funneled into the GATE program, the Gifted and Talented Education Program. If you know what that is, I was an honors kid for a really long time. I was the AP kid. Like I went down that route, the very academic, very we're gonna study and read all the books and do well on the test. I went down that route because this isn't me bragging at all. I was good at school and I'm decently smart, but I was very good at school. I was good at knowing what to study for and to take tests on for like more basic courses. My math was pretty decent, my science was okay. My history was my worst, probably, but that's just because history, like, you had to read a lot and do a lot of studying. I hated studying. I wasn't someone who studied because I was someone who, growing up until probably junior year of high school, I didn't need to study. I knew what to look for and remember that would be on a test, and so I was really good at test taking. So I didn't really need to study for a very long time. So I hated studying when I actually had to do it. But I was pretty good at school. I was decently smart. I was one of the GATE kids. I went through that pipeline to honors and AP classes and all of that. And so I was very academic focused and academic heavy when I was in school until I graduated high school. Um, but I wasn't fulfilled and I wasn't happy doing all of that. And I didn't even pursue more creative things like on the side. Like I didn't sing like I wanted to. I can't draw. I can't draw. I can't even draw a straight line with a ruler. My sister was helping me with something. I have to hem some pants later, and my sister was like, "Oh, we'll just draw a straight line on it so that way you know where you're supposed to be like sewing, so that way you sew in a straight line and not crooked." I can sew in a straight line. Well, drawing a straight line, I was like, no, I can't draw a straight line. She was like, we'll use a ruler. I was like, no, I literally can't. With a ruler, I cannot draw a straight line. Somehow, some way, my hand is going to move the ruler, or I'll place the ruler crooked and I won't realize it, and everything will be at a slant. Like, I cannot draw at all in any capacity. It is so bad. I can sew, I like to embroider. I can trace okay, which you're like, well, you can't do a straight line, but you could trace. I could trace okay. I like coloring. I can't paint. I can't draw. I can't do any of that. But I liked to sing. I liked to tell stories. I like to talk a lot. Um, and I didn't really think of acting as a viable thing ever, or as a hobby ever, which some people do it as a hobby. And if you can do it as a hobby, it's not something that you need to make your career. I say go for that. Like if you love acting, but not to the point where you're like, this is the only thing I can do for the rest of my life, don't pursue it. It's so hard and it's a very rough path to go down. It's not worth it if you're like, oh, I could work this other job and do acting as a hobby and still be very fulfilled and happy. Do that. Don't just pursue acting as your sole thing. Like even though I'm making all these YouTube videos and this podcast, it's not something that I'm seeing as a career choice. I'm kind of doing this as a hobby and more for fun, and also because it's good to put my face out there as an actor. Like that's a part of it. I'm not gonna deny that. Like it's definitely a marketing strategy, especially in this day and age where there's so many people pursuing acting at this point. And it's getting harder and harder as a viable career choice. Yeah, if you can do anything else, don't pursue acting. Just do it as a hobby. But for some people, like myself, it's the only career choice. And that means I have to have a day job that supports that. And I am lucky that I come from a background where I can have a little bit of a cushion financially, some help from family. At least I did in the very beginning when I was first kind of starting out. And now that I have a day job that I love and that pays me really well and I get to do stuff that I love, I'm able to still support myself decently. And I'm able to live at home with my mom in a house that is fully paid for and I don't have to pay rent. Like I have those. I'm lucky enough to have those privileges, and some people don't and still pursue acting. And it's even harder for those people. It's still hard for me, but it's even harder for those people. You know what I mean? Um, But I found something that I was so passionate about that I was like, this is the only thing I could do. I was going down this academic route and I thought, okay, when I go to college, I guess I will study. I guess I'll go to college because that's what everyone does. I guess I'll study business because there isn't anything else that interests me. And I feel like you can do a lot with a business degree. And I can probably find some desk job that I can work and my degree will work for that. I'm a hard worker. Like, that's just kind of who I am. So you could put me in probably any job and eventually like I'll get this once I get into the swing of things and I kind of get the gist of what I'm supposed to be doing, like I'll do a good job and I'll be a good worker. But it's not like the thought of just working in an office on a computer day in and day out and I don't know, organizing things, which I love organizing, don't get me wrong, but organizing things every single day, answering work emails like I that sounds miserable to me. I was like, I'm just going to live my life day to day like a robot, and I don't know what I love. I loved reading. I knew I loved that. I knew I loved watching TV and film. I knew I liked attention, but I didn't really have the confidence to go seek that out until later on in life. I didn't have anything to be passionate about, and I don't think that's really a great way to live. Um, And I'm not saying you have to have one passion and that's the one thing that's your driving force and that's how you live a fulfilled life. Not everyone's like that, I don't think. And I don't think everyone has to be like that. I think it would be unfair to believe that everyone is exactly the same and needs exactly the same things in order to live a fulfilled life. You don't. Everyone's different and everyone's path in life is different. But for me, not having a passion in life was miserable. I felt so lost. I didn't, and it made me feel worthless because I was like, what even is my point of being here? I was like, do I do the normal thing that is expected of people and go to college, get my degree in business, get a desk job, eventually marry someone, eventually start a family, raise those kids, and then die? Like, is that what's for me? It didn't seem like that's what I wanted. It didn't seem like that would be very fulfilling for me personally. Not to say that that's not fulfilling. That's fulfilling for some people. And if it is for you, that's amazing and that's awesome and that's great. And I love that you've figured that out for yourself. But it wasn't for me. So finding acting was game changing. It was life changing, like truly. I also just find that acting makes it easier to connect with others because it's part of your job is to connect with others, not just through a screen, but you're connecting with your acting partner or partners, whoever you're acting with on stage or on camera. It's your job to connect with people and then to be vulnerable enough and open enough to show that connection with those people. And that has definitely carried over for me in my real life. It's a lot easier for me to connect with people and I was good at making friends before, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a very shy person, but like, I'm extroverted a lot of the time. I'm an ambivert, but I can be extroverted a lot of the time. And so it's not that it's hard for me to make friends, but it's made it a lot easier to make friends that are people that I want to stay in contact and with and deepen a connection with. Um, and it's also increased my empathy for people. In order to acting is playing pretend, right? But you're bringing this character to life. That character is a real person. If you don't think of them as a real person, as a fully fleshed out human being, it's not going to come across on screen as a real person. And it's not going to come across, your acting won't come across as grounded. It's not going to feel real. And it's not going to be fun to watch. We watch film and TV. I think that's why reality TV is really popular with a lot of people. You want to see real people experiencing and feeling real things or what you perceive to be real things. Reality TV is not reality ever. Some of it's scripted, some of it is pulled out of people, some of it is people are put into specific situations in order to evoke certain responses. So it's not real. It's not a documentary, it's a reality show. But anyway, people find that stuff interesting because people like to watch other people. It's part of our human nature. We like to watch other people and see how they interact with others in their environment and when put into certain positions, and then project ourselves onto those people, whether it's in a positive or negative way. So when we make it fake and we script it and we make television shows and films, we want that same feeling. And as an audience member, if that actor has not connected with or seen that character they're playing as a fully fleshed out human and they don't understand that, it's not going to come across on camera. And then the audience member isn't going to get that feeling either because the actor didn't get that feeling. And it's not going to be fun to watch and it's going to come across as bad acting. And so you have to find empathy and ways to relate to characters that either sometimes they're very similar to you and sometimes they're the complete opposite. I had a character class in college, which was not my favorite, but was definitely necessary and needed, where one of our assignments was to make up a character that was completely different from ourselves. So a lot of people chose either people with different political views as them. I picked a serial killer, like stuff like that. Like someone that I'm like, who is the farthest thing that I like can think of that's like, what's the farthest from me? And then our job was to find whatever character that would be, like make that character whoever that person would be. And then you have to find ways to connect with that character and empathize with that character and understand where they're coming from as a human. Even if you're playing someone who's kind of a monster, like I was playing a serial killer, you still have to find a way, at least this is the way that I was trained and the way that works best for me. You have to find a way into that character that you can relate to them. So that way, when you are acting as that character, they feel like a fully fleshed out human and the emotions are real. The situations are fake. The emotions, at least for me and the way that I approach acting, the emotions are real. So even if I haven't been through the same situation that character has been through, the emotions that I'm feeling behind it are very, very real. Which is why you'll see sometimes when when actors have to play characters that are really like heavy or very intense, or they're doing a scene that's very heavy and intense, some people have a hard time coming out of it because, or they have a hard time, like they need to, like, you film that scene last because you know you're going to need some time to kind of decompress and come back from that. That's not for everyone. I don't really know if that's for me or not because I haven't been in that situation yet on a set. But the emotions are very, very real because it's interesting to watch someone work through these real emotions and feelings. I think that's why horror has such a strong audience because it's easy to see those people getting scared and then react to that because you're also getting scared and you feel this kind of connection with the characters you're seeing on the screen. People like that. We like to feel things. We like to see other people feel things, and we like to kind of project ourselves into that situation and think how we would feel and whether it's similar or different to the person we're watching on the screen. I think that's why we love it so much. But because of what it means to be an actor, I've just found it easier to connect with others and feel empathy for others in regular real life situations too. Um, I also love that I have now the ability to just create by myself if I want to, with other people if I want to. I can collaborate. If I want to tell a story with my own words, I can do that. If I want to tell a story with someone else's words, I can do that too. Someone else's words, but my own emotions. Like if on my channel, my YouTube channel, you'll see I have a couple monologues out. I have some more kind of like I need to load them up. They need to be edited and then uploaded. Like I've got a couple more. I can create. I'm a creative person, but it was hard for me to connect with that part of myself because I didn't feel like I had a tangible way to do it because I can't draw or paint or anything like that. The closest I got was like knitting or embroidery, but it wasn't fully what I wanted. Like I am a storyteller. That's what I am at my core. And I didn't feel like I could do that. Like I think you can do that with paintings and things. My writing is decent because I have training in it. And I guess I have a little bit of natural talent for it, but it's not, top notch. It's not like incredible. Like I have some friends who are incredible writers. Like I'm like, yeah, you are a writer. So it's not necessarily exactly but I'm good enough. And now I have the training and the knowledge on how to work a camera and do lighting and editing. I have all of that knowledge enough. I wouldn't have that if I didn't decide to become an actor, that I can now create in the capacity that I needed to and have wanted to and have like ached for. I can do that on my own, or I can find a group of people who also have that knowledge and we can create something together too. And I can do that with my own words, or I can do it with someone else's words. Like the ability to create in a way that satisfies your craving to create is so incredible and makes life that much more exciting and more fun and more worthwhile. And I wouldn't have that ability if I didn't decide that acting was what I wanted to pursue and I didn't pursue a degree in that. And my training has just made me a better human and a more understanding human, and has led to me understanding myself a lot better. I went to therapy, I did that part of it as well, and that's definitely helped in me discovering and developing who I am as a person and who I want to be and how I want to be seen in the world and how I want to portray myself to the world. But without acting, I don't think I ever would have fully gotten there. And is some acting training kind of traumatic? Yeah. Like if you see the jokes on TikTok where like, oh, I have to unload all my trauma from third grade at 8 a.m. in the morning. Like, it's true. It's true. I had 8 a.m. classes and that was what we were doing first thing in the morning, is working through our own emotions and trauma in front of a room of other people, of 10 other kids. Um, that's part of it. Is it the best part? No. Do I think it could be adjusted? Sure. But I did learn a lot about myself and who I am as a person and what I value and what I don't value, what I think is right and wrong, what I think is a gray area, um, ways to connect with people, things about myself that I didn't realize were worth digging into and kind of discovering more of and sharing with others. I wouldn't know any of that if I didn't pursue acting, which is crazy to think about. I would be a whole different person right now. I definitely wouldn't be making YouTube videos or a podcast. I wouldn't be doing any of this. I'd probably be sitting at a desk miserable, wondering why I don't like my life so much and how I could make it better, but not having the tools to do that. I think I'd be a whole different person. So I'm really, really glad that I decided to go into acting and change my life for the better. It's also just taught me discipline and hard work, and in a way that I didn't know before. Um, I'm someone who thrived off of academic validation. Is that what it's called? Academic validation, and felt satisfied when I did well on things and turned projects in. But this has taught me discipline and hard work and the things you gain from that in a different way that feels more fulfilling. Um, and has also taught me that like the process is really important too, and that the process can be a part of it, because with acting, I feel like acting as an art form is definitely not an instant gratification art form, and is something that you have to be happy and satisfied with the journey to getting to the end product, because the end product, it's kind of like people put in months or even years of work, hard work, into things that they make. I mean, not my YouTube videos, but like I made a short film a little while ago that took me over like about 2 months to do, which is nothing considering like how long short films normally take. And like it's a short film, like the editing is what took me the longest, but like I was filming it. Long story short, I worked on that for almost 2 months, and then the end product is 7 minutes long. You watch it and then that's it. You have to be very happy with the journey that it takes to get there. And people, like for big films or TV shows or even some short films, or like micro budget films, things like that, they'll take months and years to make. Um, and once it's out there, it's done, and people think about it what they will. So you have to enjoy the journey and how long it took to get there and the work you did along the way. Otherwise, it's not satisfying at all. And then also, depending on what part you play in a project, you might not have that much control over what the end product looks like. So if you're just an actor in a project, you have to be satisfied with what you did on set because you don't have anything to do with the end product. So the end product could suck, but you did your best and your part seemed pretty good, or at least you're satisfied with it. You have to be happy with that. That has to be gratifying enough for you to want to continue doing this. And so it's kind of taught me like the journey and the effort you put into something is what you need to be satisfied. That needs to be what you value the most, in order for you to be happy with the decisions that you're making and the path you're following. And being happy with your art as it is so important, and that's a lesson I've learned as well being an actor. If you're happy with it and you're satisfied with the end product that you've come up with, that's what matters, because art is so subjective that it's either going to be loved by people, hated by people, it's going to be split down the middle, 30-70. You don't know. You don't have control over how people react to it. You don't have control over how people are going to interpret your own art. So you have to be happy with what you've done, and that has to be what's the satisfying thing for you, not the validation coming externally and from other people. That's a hard lesson to learn, and am I still learning it? Yeah, obviously. I think that's a hard lesson for anyone to learn, and takes people years to understand, and you might not ever get there, but you might get closer. And I've definitely gotten closer, and I wouldn't have gotten there without acting. It's also taught me how to, I think this is one of the biggest lessons and one of the biggest reasons why acting had to be a career that I pursued as a human. It's taught me to be really comfortable with failure. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I was someone who, and I've talked about this before in my Fake It Till You Make It video, I think, that if I couldn't do something well right away, I would give up on it. Or if I even thought that it was something I wouldn't be able to do well right away, I wouldn't try it. I was really afraid of failure. I was afraid that it would reflect badly on me. I think part of it stems from that there were lots of things that I was really naturally good at when I was younger, school being one of them. And so the idea that I would have to work really hard and fail in front of others, I think, is the biggest thing, and not be perfect in front of others was so scary to me that I just would avoid so much because I was so afraid of failing. So improv was a very, very hard class for me to take in college. I even avoided doing any commercial auditions because a lot of them are very improv heavy, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do it because I can't, because I'm bad at it. And it's like, I'm not. Improv is hard. It's hard. To fail that big in front of people, it's hard. You can't be an actor if you're afraid to fail. You could start out that way, because I did, and then get used to it. You have to get used to it at some point. If you don't get used to it, you can't be an actor. It's just not possible. You cannot be afraid to fail. That's the whole gig, is failing. The main job is I go to job interviews, I fail them. I go to more job interviews, I fail them. And out of the hundreds of job interviews I do, I book one, and I do well at that. That's what I do day after day, year after year. Some people will hit it big. Some people never will hit it big. But you fail, you get back up and you try again. That's the only way you can continue and have this as a career, is you have to fail, get up, and do better next time. Or try your best next time. Or put the same amount of effort as you did the first time because you already tried your best the first time and then you failed it and you tried again. And there's so much failure, and you also have to not take that as I'm a failure. You can't internalize that failure because it happens so much. And it can happen for the tiniest of things. Your hair color could be wrong. They don't like how close your eyes are together. They don't like the color of your eyes. The perfume you wore, if it's in person. We don't do a lot of in person anymore. It's mostly self-tapes now. You can do in person if you want to, but it's not common. The perfume you wore that day in person when you met them reminded them of their ex-girlfriend, and now they don't like you. Like, it's for the most menial things. Or they're like, we specifically want someone who has this type of hair, this body type, and looks to be this age, but they need to actually be this age, and they need to be able to do this. Like, what they're looking for can be so specific that you can be the best actor in that room or in that audition, and they still don't pick you because someone acted almost as good as you, but they were exactly the look they were going for, and so they went with them instead of you. You don't know. And that's the thing, is you never know if what the reason why they, like, you don't know the reason they didn't pick you, because there's hundreds of people going for these auditions. They don't have time to tell everyone, well, you did this one thing wrong, or we didn't really like the outfit you picked, it didn't really reflect the character, and so we thought maybe you don't understand the character as well as we thought you did. Like, it could have nothing to do with your acting or your talent or how much work you put into something. None of that matters. What matters is that you're happy with the work you did. And so if you fail it, you're still happy with what you did because you did your best. You move on, you do your best on the next one. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but you keep going until you get it. Like, that's just how it works. You cannot be afraid to fail because the whole job is failing. Failing big. Failing so big. Until you don't fail, and you get the one and you don't fail. But then even after you do that, you might fail again and again and again for the next 100 times you try. But you have to get up and keep going. If you don't, then you don't even give yourself the chance to fail, which means you don't give yourself the chance to succeed. So you can't be afraid of failing. But I was so afraid of failing before. And now it's given me more confidence to fail just in life in general. And if I make a mistake and I need to apologize for it, I apologize for it, we move on, and I do better next time. Like, that's all you can do in life. I feel like mistakes and failing is just living. But I was afraid to do that before. But when I became an actor, and the longer I pursued this career, the more I was like, oh, it's okay to fail. It's not a big deal, and it doesn't mean anything about me as a human. It's just what happened. Oh well, move on to the next. Which also means that I've become more comfortable with trying new things because I'm not afraid to fail at them anymore. I mean, I'm not about to go bungee jumping tomorrow, but I can go places on my own. I can go to a party on my own. I can't even think about the countless new things I've done because I went for the job that I have now because I was like, I might as well try. Um, I can be more of a go-getter, and I can work even harder now because I'm not afraid to go for things because I think I might fail at them. I can go for it, and then if I don't make it, maybe I get part of the way, maybe I don't get any of the way, but I tried my best. I can apologize for it if I need to, and then try again at something else. And the job I have now, I get to use what I learned and teach a new generation of artists and actors or people who just want to work in this industry in general. And that's such a gift in and of itself. And I learn from those kids every day. They're incredibly inspiring to watch. I see myself in all of them, and I know I can help them because I understand where they're coming from. Like, there's specifically one student that I was working with that reminded me so much of myself when I first started. And it made me think, like, I wonder if this student shares some of the same insecurities that I had, and still have myself. It's helping that student develop not just as an actor, but as a human. Because being an actor is to portray the human experience. I know I sound so philosophical and like, woo, like, oh, like it's this big thing. It's not. Acting it's playing pretend is the cruder way to put it. But it's all true. It is portraying the human experience, and it is also just playing pretend. But I can help the student grow not just as a actor, but as a human. And that is such a fulfilling life to live. And it helps you grow as a human too. I think that's probably why some people who are really good parents, they grow with their kids, because you have to, because they're going to teach you just as much, if not more, than you're going to teach them. And being an instructor and a teacher, it does a similar thing. I get to watch some amazingly talented kids do some incredible work that I could never have done at that age. I get to help pull out and mold some of that talent into something that they can't even imagine that they themselves can produce. It's such a gift. It's just truly such a gift. And I wouldn't have that opportunity if I didn't pursue acting, because I'm teaching acting. Um, to help someone grow into the human and performer that they want to become is truly incredible and life-changing. And like, even working with these kids, I've become more comfortable doing improv, more so than I had before. And that's been a gift in and of itself. Um, it's just truly life-changing. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I'm kind of repeating myself a lot, but it's just because it's like I'm in such awe of how much good acting has brought me as a human and as an entertainer and a storyteller, that it's just wild to even try to think about where I would be if I hadn't pursued this as a career. Um, and it's also led to a love of learning in a healthier way than I've ever had before. Before it was, I'm good at taking tests, so I like learning because I can get more validation externally if I learn a lot and do well on the tests. Now it's, oh, I'm really curious about these things. Let me go and look into them. Not just with acting, just with life in general. Things I'm like, I'm not afraid to admit, oh, I don't know that much about this, but I'm really interested in it. Let me go look into that. Because I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to admit that I don't know a lot of things, because I don't. I wouldn't have that without acting. I just wouldn't. I would be in my little box, afraid to admit anything ever, afraid to explore even just myself as a human and who I am and emotions and their capacity to change people. I'd be afraid of all of that if I didn't pursue this. And I just feel so lucky and so thankful and grateful that I went with what I truly felt in my gut was what I needed to do. And then I also had the luxury to be able to pursue that. Because I don't know who or where I'd be right now if I didn't. And it's made me a better listener. I learned one of the things I prided myself on was I was a good listener, um, when I was first starting out learning acting and how to be a good actor. I was pretty good at listening and reacting. But it's made me become even better, and it's made me be even better at doing that just in real life. You can't really connect with people if you're the only one doing all the talking and you're not listening while you're doing that. And so being an actor and listening and reacting being a big part of being an actor and acting has made me a better listener in real life, which has led to deeper and more connections with people that I might not have been able to connect with or meet before. And that's really special. And it's also helped me find value in myself and what I'm good at without having to pretend and project and mold myself into someone I'm not. Um, and has kind of given me a voice and helped me find a superpower of mine, which is that my voice really matters, and that what would have been perceived as a weakness, which is that I feel things very, very deeply, sometimes to a point that can be damaging to myself or others, and that's definitely something I need to work on and improve on. But acting has kind of given me an outlet for that emotions aren't a bad thing to feel and experience, and that it's okay and it's even great and good to feel those things and experience those things, and that I can use those big feelings and experiences and my own voice and my words and my own story. I can use all of those things to help others, that they're not a hindrance to people, that it's not a negative or bad trait that I have within myself. I it's like a superpower. Like, I learned that what I can do and my innate natural abilities can help other people or entertain other people or connect with other people. I wouldn't have that without acting. One thing that I will always, always, always hold close to my heart, is my acting teacher, like one of the very first days of my freshman year of college, going to this new acting school that I never could have imagined in the past that I would be going to. Um, One of the first, like, we were watching, we had to audition when we went into the college, so that we could be placed in classes with people. I don't know how they did it, if it was skill level or perceived skill level, or if it was I don't know how they did it. What I do know is I had no acting experience, especially compared to all these other people. I did basically a semester of drama in high school. These kids were doing community theater. They went to performing arts schools, like high schools. They've been doing lead roles their whole time. Like, these were people who had so much experience and background in this industry, and I had zero. I had nothing going in. And so we had to audition so we could be placed in classes. They split our acting classes. They split us into two groups for our acting classes. I was put in a group that I perceived to be people who would not that the other class didn't have good acting skills, because they had incredible acting skills. They had some really amazing actors in that other class. But I was placed in the class with a group of people that I felt were meant to be playing leading roles. Like, if I were just typecasting people, I was like, these are leading women and leading men. That's the class I was put in. And I was very confused because I was like, why was I not put in the other class? I didn't feel like I was at that level, and I didn't feel like those were parts I would be playing. And which is sad, because it's like, you don't see yourself as a main character in your own life, which I didn't. Now I do. More of that in the Fake It Till You Make It podcast if you want to get into that there. But I didn't. I was so shocked. And we watched our auditions back in class with each other in front of everyone. Which, side note, another thing, I'm so much more used to seeing myself on camera, and seeing my face and what I look like, and hearing my voice, especially. A lot of people don't like that. Do I still get grossed out by it sometimes? Yes, but I'm like so much more used to it now that I can do these videos and edit them myself, and I don't have a problem with it. And some people can't even do that. So I'm lucky in that aspect. But anyway, we were watching back our auditions, and we got to mine, and my teacher like was very fair, but was very critical, and was like, this is what we really need to work on, because that's what we're there for. We're there to grow and learn and become the best actors we can be, right? At least for the place we were in life at that point. We got to mine, and I was terrified. A lot of people were very hungry for critiques. I wasn't. I was like, let me sit in the back and wait, because I was so scared of failure, right? So I didn't want to watch mine. I was like, oh, it's already going to be bad. I don't want to watch it. Compared to everyone else, it's going to be bad. We got to mine, and I don't know what else my teacher had to say, because I don't remember it. But what stuck out to me, and what I remember, and what has stuck with me this whole time, is the positive thing my teacher had to say, which is funny because at the time I would definitely be more focused on negative things, because that's how I was as a person. But I was so focused on this positive thing my teacher said, because it was very profound for me. And she said, she had everyone watch it, and we were critiquing each other's stuff too. She had everyone watch it, and before she let anyone in the class say anything, she would say her own piece. She did that for everyone, I believe. And she said, Mikaela has a way with words that when she's speaking, it makes you want to listen, and you can really feel what she says. She can control the way that you're feeling about what she says because of the way she says things, and because of the emotion that she can put behind her words. It's very intense, but she makes you feel what she's feeling with the way she's saying what she says. And that really stuck with me, because truly my voice, like when I get sick, like when I was sick this past time, and I'm a little stuffed up now, allergies, my voice is so important to me, and it's such a way that I connect with the world and everything around me. And I do feel things really deeply, and I put a lot, like sometimes it's not good. Sometimes if I'm not feeling good or I'm mad at someone, it can come across as very aggressive, because so much of my emotion leaks out almost through my voice. So sometimes it's not great, but when it's important, and when it's for acting and for telling a story or for encouraging someone, the fact that I can put so much of my own feelings into my voice, and that it can come across so well, one is such a good skill to have as an actor, and it's an innate ability that I had. And two is important just in life, like especially if you're encouraging someone or you're really making sure someone knows how much you care about them. The ability to do that is so special. And I didn't realize that until I heard that in that acting class. And has it led to me realizing that like physicalizing things, I mean, my expressions are pretty decent also, but like feeling things in my body, is that harder for me? Yeah, it's not something that is innately easy for me to do, and it's something that I will still continue to need to work on, especially as an actor. But that I have that innate ability to put so much emotion, like imbue that into my voice and the way that I'm speaking, and that it actually comes across to other people, that's really special. And I wouldn't realize how special that was, and I wouldn't realize I have that talent and that ability if I wasn't an actor. And it's just like, it truly is a superpower to know what you're good at and to be happy with what you're good at and to love learning about what you're good at and getting better at it. It's just so special. I don't really know where else to go with this. I've gone through all my notes of what I wanted to talk about. Finding the thing that you're passionate about is really special, and I encourage everyone to find their thing or their things. It can be multiple things that really just makes you want to continue learning, that makes you a better person, that really helps you understand more about who you are as a human, whatever that thing may be. It could be random, it could be yo-yoing, it could be working out, it could be acting, it could be singing, it could be writing, it could be painting, poetry, it could be fashion, making clothes, knitting, whatever it may be, helping other people. I don't know. It can be anything. Finding that thing is so special and so important and can change the trajectory of your whole life that I encourage you to explore as many things as you can until you find that thing. Or maybe your thing that you're passionate about is finding multiple things and finding something new to be passionate about every month. I don't know. But if you can and you want to find that thing you're passionate about, do it. It can change your life, like truly, for the best. Not just for the better, for the best. And acting was that thing for me. And I'm really, really lucky and I'm really grateful. And I'm so happy that I was able to find it because I don't know where I'd be without it. Truly. It's just, it's incredible that I found it and that it found me and that I've been able to continue to pursue it and that it makes me this happy and fulfilled. Yeah. And if you're thinking of pursuing acting, you might as well try it out because you can always keep it as a hobby. Again, it's pursuing it as a career is not for everyone. It truly isn't. That's something that they really nailed into us and drove home when we were in school is if you can picture yourself doing anything else as a job and only having acting as a hobby, you need to be doing that because it is hard. It is really hard. I question being an actor at least once a month. At least once a month, I question, is this really what I want to be doing? And every single time I come back to, this is the only thing that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life. And that's how I know I made the right decision. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's hard. It makes you scrutinize how you look, how you act, how you dress, how you present yourself, how you talk, how you understand the world and people and emotions and how you feel things and how the way you feel things is portrayed to other people. You scrutinize yourself. You are your own business and your own product when you're an actor. But it's the one thing I love and the one thing that I want to do for the rest of my life, and so that's what I'm going to do. And I'll do other things on the side, and I'll have my day jobs to sustain myself financially and keep myself afloat. But it's the one thing I really love, and I can't stop doing it. I never could. It's going to be something I'm going to continue to do for the rest of my life. And I think that's really special. And I'm really glad that I found my thing, you know? But yeah, if you can and if you want to, find your thing. Maybe it's acting too. I don't know. Try it. Try anything you want. As long as it's not a danger to you or others, go for it. But yeah. This is a rambly one. I don't know what else to say. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. Find your passion if you want to and you have the time and ability to. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, evening, night, morning, whatever, whenever it may be for you. Thank you for spending this time for me, and I will see you next time. Love, Mikaela. Bye.